name is Nicole. I'm a producer for the Remembering Them podcast. The podcast is a platform for people to share stories and memories of their loved ones who have passed away. The podcast was created in memory of Dad, Bob Cecil. May he rest in peace. Your host, Mark, Ryan, and Luke acknowledge the rich history and importance of storytelling within the indigenous culture.
My name is Jorgi Skeen, and I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we meet here today. Today we're meeting in Meanjin, and those traditional owners are the Yagara and Turrbal people. And I'd also like to pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge my people, the Gubbi Gubbi people, and extend that acknowledgement to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people listening in today.
Hello, Luke. Welcome back to the podcast.
Afternoon, Mark. Thanks for having me, mate.
After a short break, no Ryan today, but welcome back to you and I, and welcome back to any of our listeners. We just had a bit of a mid-year break while we line up some more exciting guests. So, it's good to get a bit of a refresh. Today, date of release will be Wednesday the 15th of July here in Australia, which actually in the US is Give Something Away Day, which is where Ryan's at today, giving away some stuff. I'm assuming
just giving away.
There's guitars and money, or Ryan's.
He's generous. He's generous. People often talk a lot of slack about Ryan, but I'll defend him. He's that good guy. He tries. So
he's good at giving away a lot of things, just not his time sometimes to the Remembering Them podcast. So Ryan, enjoy your day. We hope you are back with us very, very soon. Luke, 3 guests for you today. As always, play along at home. Please try and guess where our guest is from. Clue number 1, this place is almost an island. It's surrounded by sea on 3 sides, with only a narrow land border connecting it to the rest of the country that it's in. Really broad, difficult one to begin with, and then it'll narrow down.
It's straight away. It's taken me to Vancouver Island.
Oh, good guess. I see how you came to that, but not Vancouver.
Obviously not.
Not that. Clue number 2. So a little bit more specific now. During the 19th century, this place, I always said where it is. This place produced a significant share of global tin output, making it internationally important long before modern tourism. I'm pretty confident you would have heard of this place.
Yeah, big tin place, eh? That first one, I thought I was on the money for sure.
Oh yeah, it was a very good guess.
I'm going to stick with Canada for whatever reason. We'll go over the other side of the country. Are we in Newfoundland?
No, we're not in Canada. We are in the Northern Hemisphere, so this clue might help you narrow the country down. King Arthur, third and final clue, hopefully you've got it at home. King Arthur is strongly linked to this county. We're in a county. Tintagel, no, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Tintagel Castle is traditionally associated with the legend of King Arthur.
Is that where the round... Is that the round table?
I
don't even.
The knights, yeah.
I've never met the man, so I've never. Yeah. I can't comment. I just have no idea, man. The UK.
No idea. We are in the UK, and we're in a county in the UK. We're in Cornwall. You've heard of Cornwall?
Cornwall, yeah.
Here's a bonus fact for our Aussie listeners. Surprising large number of Australians have Cornish ancestry. During the 1800s, thousands of Cornish miners migrated to mining regions such as South Australia, Victoria, and Queensland, bringing with them mining skills. Cornwall is a rugged coastal region in southwest England, known for its dramatic cliffs, historic mining heritage, as I mentioned, strong Celtic identity, and world-famous beaches and surf culture, which I didn't realise. Our guest today is a mum of 2. A guest and her husband used to work on super yachts and then settled in Cornwall to bring their 2 beautiful girls into the world alongside her parents. She's now in network marketing, working from home with around her girls while her husband works in rotation. Our guest from Cornwall in the UK is Briony Bekker. welcome to the Remembering Them podcast. Officially, Briony, thank you very much for joining us all the way over from Cornwall in the UK, and thank you for working out the time difference with us. It's morning over there, and we're finishing up our days respectively over here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Absolutely, it's lovely to be here.
It's great to have you on. We do have a few friends over from the UK now, both unfortunately, obviously talking about their grief, but fortunately having them talk about it as well and share their experiences. So, if you'd like to jump straight in, Briony, and tell us who we're talking about today, their relationship to you, and what happened to that special loved one.
Yeah, so today we'll be talking about my mum, Linda, best friend, absolutely specialist person in my life. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost her just in February this year, actually. So it's not actually been very long at all. Nearly coming on 5 months now. So I feel like I'm in the very infancy of everything. But you know how it is. Yeah, we lost her unfortunately through ovarian cancer back in February. We did have a year with her from finding out the diagnosis. When we found out, I think it was just under a year. So we found out in March 2025 that she'd had ovarian cancer. We thought it was her gallbladder, and she's absolutely fit and healthy 70-year-old. She was 72 when she got diagnosed. Absolutely fit and healthy. She moved down to Cornwall with my dad to be closer to me and my 2 daughters. So and my Labrador, who's just another son, another child. So yeah, absolutely was the busiest grandma, fit and healthy, racing around after my little ones, traveling over. I've got a sister who lives in Australia, in Perth, actually, and a brother who lives in Dubai. So they are scattered all over the world, looking after all the grandparents, all the grandchildren all over the place. And yeah, it was just an absolute, we were bowled over in shock, to be honest. We thought it was a gallbladder issue. She's never had any health scares before. And then went in and had the diagnosis that they discovered a 9-centimeter mass in her ovary. So it was a 9-centimeter tumor, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely humongous. She's only a little 5 foot nothing, tiny little pocket rocket of a lady. And by that time, unfortunately, it had spread into her peritoneum. So it had spread into her stomach lining. And I think that's when she'd actually got the symptoms, and we found out, because with ovarian cancer, it can be quite typically known as the silent killer. So by the time actually it gets discovered, it's a little bit too late. So by the time we knew about it, she was already at stage 4. And with that tumor the size that it was, and with her being the little lady she was, they had to try and get her in for chemo very quickly to try and shrink that tumor down to get to a point where they could hopefully remove it. And it was a bit of a scary time back, yeah, after she got diagnosed. Went for a few rounds of chemo, which she actually reacted to really, really well. So in my mind, it was like, right, Mum, we're fighting this. 2025 is going to be our write-off year. You know, we're going to forget about this, and 2026 is we'll get you through chemo, we'll get this tumor out, and 2026 will be your comeback year. We'll just get back to life as we know it with the grandkids, living our life in Cornwall, and forget this ever happened. And that was in my mind's eye. I had a complete, absolutely, there was nothing else that was gonna be in my reality than her surviving, getting through, and this was just going to be a blip that we just buried and forgot about. And yeah, we got to the point where she was able to have the surgery. They managed to shrink the mass enough to get it out, and the cancer markers from the chemo were looking really, really positive. So we were really excited from that. And then she had the surgery, and at that point, it was unfortunately found out that it had spread. So it had gone from her ovaries into the stomach lining. And at that point, it was quite apparent to the surgeons that she was really, really poorly, and it was unable to take it out because it had spread to so many different little areas. And yeah, it's a scary thing. I think with cancer itself, you never really, unless it's in your family or you've been hit by it directly, I think you want to kind of put it out of your mind's eye. You don't want the C word to be part of your reality. So you never really let it get into your head, I guess. And then as soon as it does, you then want to find out absolutely everything about it. You want to read into all the things, how we could help, all the other scenarios that you could look into. It's your mum at the end of the day, so you're going to do everything to try and get her the best treatment or see if there's any other routes to go down. And you look into absolutely everything, from not knowing anything about cancer because you didn't want it part of your reality, to then just trying to do your utmost to get this thing sorted for her. And then we unfortunately found out that they couldn't get it out, so then she had to go through more and more chemo. And it was a hard time for a couple of months. We had a few hopeful weeks and hopeful situations with the doctors where they were pretty positive. We thought we were fighting it, and then it seemed like it was just an ongoing battle between her getting through the chemo and the cancer. And it seemed like this horrible race that we didn't want to be a part of in the end, because she was just losing so much weight. And then it was more the treatment and the chemo itself that was making her so really, really, really poorly. And that was a horrible thing to see. And I think it's that anticipatory grief. It's a really, really hard thing to watch your person go through. And we nearly had a year of it. And I firmly had my blinkers on, thinking, everything was going to be all right. But I think that's just your protective mode of the reality is not actually going to happen to my mum. And we unfortunately ended up losing her. She went into hospice for 3 weeks. We were trying to get her onto a pain plan to try and manage her pain. And she walked in, bless her, hoping that it was going to be a 3-week stay. And we lost her in hospice after 3 weeks there, back in February. So it's only been a short time, really, 5 months without her, but a year of kind of having the anticipatory feeling of knowing that this day was going to come. But I was highly in denial, and obviously, you never wanting to lose your person, but we did. And just trying to navigate this new journey afterwards now.
It seems, Briony, like a quite a rapid decline for that 3 weeks after, as you said, almost a 12-month anticipatory time frame, knowing that, I guess your mind frame was, we're going to get through this. It's a blip in 2025, and then we'll be okay in 2026. Was mum of a similar mindset, do you think? Or
she's very spiritual, so she was very much I'm going to be okay to a point. But I think as time moved on and she knew how poorly she was, I think it was so unfortunate it was that type of cancer. It was the ovarian cancer, because I think she's so fit and healthy that if it was any other type, she probably would have had a lot of telltale symptoms before that. But because this one was a little, I guess, too little too late with the size it was and the way that it was spread. So I think in reality, she knew that it was probably not going to be the outcome that we hoped. But being her natural, nurturing, amazing spiritual self, she was just more worried about us being left without her than she was about her going in the end. And she was just so disappointed that she was going to be missing out on time with her grandchildren, because she was just the most amazing hands-on lady. And we just had the most amazing time together, most amazing life together, and it was just cut way too short. So that was the sadness in her mind at the end of the day.
Yeah, you touched on a few different things there, and also started to describe her as a 5'0" as she was battling this cancer. How would you describe your mum to a complete stranger that didn't know her or didn't meet her?
She just did everything for anyone without asking for anything. She was the most selfless, caring lady. She just gave to so many charities. Her brother unfortunately died from dementia 3 years before that, and she did so many charity work for him. She did walks along the coastline raising money. She actually, during COVID time, she raised over £10,000 for air ambulance service here in the UK by making masks in her sewing machine. So she was always such a crafty, like hands-on lady doing everything for everyone. But at the same time, she was, selling, I think there were three in the UK, £3 a mask. So you can imagine how many masks she was making to raise £10,000 for charities. And that was her, I think. She was a school teacher for all of her life. And once she retired, she said, I'm never purposely waking up before 9 a.m. in the morning, because it was always the school bell that would go off at 9 a.m. So she was like, that was her treat after retirement, was like, I'm gonna sleep in until at least 9 a.m. And then during COVID times, when she was making this mask, my dad would find her on the sewing machine up at 6 a.m. just trying to get all these masks out the door. But that was her. She was just, so selfless, so amazing. Just an absolute, you go to her for any advice for anything. And that's, I think, what I'm finding hardest now, is not having that person to just, it's that disbelief still. I'm still picking up the phone to go, and my little one starts school in September. And I even said to my husband the other day, I'll ask mum about that, about a certain question that would come up that she would know what to ask. And I caught myself, because I thought, oh God, it just, it's still such a shock. And I don't think that disbelief wears off very quickly.
Yeah, it's still very, very recent. Obviously, just being, a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about physically, Briony? Did she look like you, or more like one of your siblings, your brother or your sister, or a nice mix?
No, we were always said that we were very similar. Yeah, short, blonde. My husband's like 6 foot, over 6 foot. My dad's over 6 foot. My brother's over 6 foot, and it was me, my mum, and my sister, the small ones. So we did look very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask Brian if I can jump in, Mark.
Yeah, go for it.
I got a good picture of your mum, Briony, but what was her name? Did I miss her name?
Linda.
Sorry,
Linda.
Yeah.
Linda. Sorry. Was she? Is there one recipe because was she a great cook? Should I say? Back up a little bit further.
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Yeah.
She made an absolute incredible chocolate brownies. It was the most, for any barbecue, any birthdays, it was always, let's get mum's chocolate brownies.
That's the staple.
Yeah. Me and my sister was sharing a recipe the other day, actually, because we were going to barbecues. We were like, we've got to find it. She was the best cook. Yeah.
Can it be replicated, do you think, or is it just not quite the same?
No, I don't think it would ever be the same. We couldn't quite do it justice, but we'll try. We will try.
Is that something that she's passed down to you, Briony, at all, or even your kids, her prowess in the kitchen with baking, and along that theme as well? Are there other lessons, or maybe away from cooking as well? Are there other lessons that you've taken from your mum, either as growing up or as an adult now, or even her as a grandparent?
I think she always tried to teach me to crochet, which I, as a 20-year-old in my 20s, I was like, Mum, I'm not learning to crochet. For me. And then now I'm in my 30s, I'm like, I wish I let her to crochet. It would be the most amazing thing. So that's what I should have taken on. But the ones that I have taken on from her, and I will continue to do so, is just to have fun with life. The last thing she said to me was just be happy, okay, and have fun. And I feel, sorry.
Not at all. Take your time.
When this happens to, your person and your family, you do realize how fragile and precious life is. So it is we could run through life with on the hamster wheel, couldn't we? And I think we do, just because that's life, and we do have that mentality of rushing all the time. And obviously with kids and jobs and life as it is, we are all so busy, and it just happens. It goes so fast, and I think until it happens to you, you don't realize how much we just coast through life. And that's one thing I'm definitely going to be taking on, is just having more fun in the little moments. I think with how big grief is, I realize that obviously we're going to I feel like with grief, it's something that a lot of people try and either patch up or rush you through. And I don't think that's right. I feel like it's something that, we're all going to have to live with. We're all going to have this happen to us in our lives, but it's something that we're going to have to just coexist alongside. So with that in mind, we've just got to obviously, and when you've got the hindsight of it happening to you, you realize that how fragile life is and how we've got to just, with this macro grief, we've got to have those micro joy moments every day, and we've got to look after our little families, and we've got to just obviously, just live life and have fun and stop living like tomorrow's going to be promised. So I think that's the biggest lesson from her. And unfortunately, it's something that, I probably didn't take on fully until now. And now I've just got this huge perspective shift about it. So it's, the lesson that I've learned from her is probably after she's gone, which, is bittersweet, but it's definitely something I'm going to be living by.
It's certainly a painful lesson, Briony, but a meaningful one as well, if I can say that. I know I was probably in a very similar situation to yourself after we lost Dad, and it certainly has a mind shift, I feel anyway, personally, with relationship with children, and I'm sure it sounds like you've taken that on. So I guess if you take any sort of solace out of this painful time, is that it shifts how you interact, and as you said, enjoy the small moments with your kids. Have you found that with yourself and your husband as well?
100%. And I feel like it's about valuing relationships as a whole as well. It's finding out, whether it's good or bad, that you've got this core group of people in your life, and maybe the relationships that you want to nurture and you want to look after now are a lot smaller. They're a lot more intentional, and that's okay. You don't need to have everyone that was probably flitting in and out of life that maybe didn't give you a good energy or didn't give you what you needed. And I think it's not about being selfish. It's about protecting your peace. And it's about, having those relationships close that actually are meaningful in life, and looking after them so much more. And the people that obviously, are going to be there and support you and care are going to be those people that are going to be with you forever, because this thing called grief is just so huge, and you really see who really matters in life. And I think it is about protecting your peace, protecting your energy, and protecting that little bubble that you love so much. And it's a really big lesson. Yeah.
And given those lessons you've taken out of this experience, granted it's been such a short period of time, Briony, if someone is in your position, in the mud, right in the middle of it now, shortly after losing, their best friend, as you mentioned, with your mum, what advice would you give to someone that's in a similar situation to yourself?
This is a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Hey Luke and Ryan, life gets heavy sometimes, especially when grief hits. For me, that weight often shows up as anxiety.
Yeah, it's not always one big thing. Sometimes it's just life piling up, work, relationships, trying to hold it all together. Suddenly, I'm anxious and don't know why.
Totally. I used to think anxiety meant panic attacks, but for me, it's more like overthinking every choice or feeling like I'm never doing enough.
And it can even hit on good days. Out of nowhere, I'm spiraling over things that haven't even happened yet.
It's easy to feel alone in it, but you're not.
That's why we're talking about our paid partner, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp connects you with credentialed therapists who can help manage anxiety and more.
Most people go to BetterHelp for anxiety, and 69% feel better after just 6 weeks.
Getting started is simple. Fill out a quick questionnaire and get matched with a therapist. If it's not a fit, you can switch at any time.
Their support team is super responsive, and with over 7,000 reviews and a 4.3 Trustpilot rating, it's a platform you can count on.
So let BetterHelp help manage your anxiety so it doesn't manage you.
Click the link below or go to betterhelp.com/rememberingthem for 10% off your first month.
I would say don't try and rush anything. I'm still obviously very much in the infancy of it, but I'm learning a new version of myself as well as everything that's going on. So I feel that it's so important to honor that, and the lessons that you learn moving through are so painful, but I think you come out of a different version of yourself on the other side. I don't think grief is something that you need to rush. I think it's something that you're going to live with forever, and it's just learning to coexist with this new version of yourself and grief, and learning how to find those little moments of joy in the everyday. And also, it's just, you've got to protect your own mental health and your own peace and your own energy, and I think that's what matters. Nothing else matters anymore. You realize that obviously life is fragile. We only get one shot at this, so it's about seizing that and learning that you don't have to patch this up. I feel like it's really important to talk about. I feel like grief as a whole, when you know how it is when you've lost your person. I don't know whether you guys found it. You don't always want to talk to everyone. Sometimes you want to be really insular. Some days you don't want to speak to anyone. There's other days that you want to talk. But there's other days I feel like, in the times that we are in now, you do go on Instagram, you go on the scroll, and you're finding things that the bloody algorithm brings all this stuff to the surface for you. But I also find a lot of that is very fluffy, and it's very just poetic, and it wants to romanticize this grief as something that, you're lucky that you had them, or time's a healer. And I really just don't believe that's quite true. I feel like it is a life-changing experience that's happened to you. And yes, there's joy in the moments that you are finding a new version of yourself that you might like better because you tolerate things a lot less, or you realize that you are protecting your energy a lot more. But I also feel like it's important to sit with the pain and sit with what you're going through, and actually just let it come out in when and if it happens, because we all know when it does hit us, it can hit us like a ton of bricks, whether we're in the supermarket or you're taking the dog for a walk, and you can absolutely come out in floods of tears. And then there's other times where you feel like you're wanting to be emotional and you can't. It's a really confusing time, but I feel like when it does come out, you've got to just ride it and let it happen, and don't try and patch it up.
That's good advice, and I think it's something that I know I've experienced, and Luke as well, and I'm sure Ryan won't mind me saying this. He's not here this evening, but he would have experienced something quite similar with his experience with grief as well. It can just happen in those moments, and yeah, it's good advice to just sit in it and let that wave hit you and feel whatever you're going to feel. Speaking of joy, you mentioned joy there. What are some of your favorite memories of Mum, either as you growing up with your siblings, or even her as a grandmother? Are there any one or two that stand out?
I think the biggest memory for Mum is which is also, it's very bittersweet, is my mum and my dad together. And they would have been married for 50 years this August, so they nearly made their golden wedding anniversary. And I think all of my friends, my husband, my sister, and my brother, and all of their friends, us as a whole, just hold them on this pedestal of how relationships should be, which is also really hard now, because it's navigating, seeing a whole new side to the person that's left behind as well, like my dad, because they were just this gel together. They've obviously experienced a lot of grief in their life with their parents, but they've always had each other. So their relationship was just absolutely, everyone wants a marriage like they had, which is so amazing. But it's hard now to see that person that's left behind, and learning a new relationship with my dad, because I'm now seeing a lot more of a vulnerable side to him and a different side to him, because now I'm his person, I'm his go-to about everything, whereas it was always my mum. And yeah, there's a beauty in that as well. There's a joy in that, to have that honor of being that for him and being there for him, and obviously us having to navigate this new road together, because mum was our favorite person collectively. So it's us as a family trying to obviously get through that. And yeah, they just had the most, we had family, we would just always laugh because we'd have family holidays, or we would take friends away and we'd be walking along the beach, or we'd be somewhere, and those two would just be off 50 meters ahead, just holding hands, chatting like they were on a first date, or having, it's like they'd spent months apart. They were always together, always holding hands, just going out for coffee dates. It would make my friends sick almost how in love were they were, which is how you'd want every marriage to be. So it's so very special, but it does make it ever so much more harder now, I feel like, because seeing your dad broken heart is just the worst thing in the world.
I can certainly see why they would be some of your favorite memories, Briony. If I don't know if mum gave you this advice, but was there any marriage advice that she gave you that will stand with you for the length of your life with your husband and your family? What makes a strong marriage?
Yeah, I think it was always the don't sweat the little things, like don't worry about the little things, have perspective, work on things every day, don't go to bed angry, and again, just have fun in a relationship, have fun with your partner, go and do the things that you want to do. Don't let time pass, and it's and just communicate. I think communication, they were always talking, and I think that's key. Yeah, full of love.
How will you and maybe it's you and your dad, or you and the rest of the family, or even you and your kids, or whether that's different or it's all the same, how do you plan to honor your mum going forward? Or have you already got things in place, or what are you doing to honor her?
The Remembering Them podcast is supported by my legacy message. How do you want to be remembered? My legacy message provides a service that delivers a personalized keepsake video to your loved ones, often as a surprise after you pass. My legacy message: be remembered.
To honor mum, I'm definitely going to be carrying on her love of charity work and giving back to people. I feel like the hospice that she was a part of for the last 3 weeks, the word hospice, no one ever, I think it's such a word that you never want to enter your brain and never want to enter your world. And I was petrified of it, to be honest. I think when she first got diagnosed, someone said to me, "Oh, if she goes into a hospice," and I was like, "No, we're not having this conversation. That's not going to happen to us. That's not going to be our journey." And then we obviously got later down the line, and that was our reality. And so when she went to the hospice, we were all very petrified to go in, really. It was never a place I ever wanted her to go. And once we were in there, they were just absolutely the most incredible angels on earth. Just not so respectful to my mum, so respectful for us as a family. The support that they showed was just incredible. So the fact that she felt so safe with them over the last 3 weeks, me and my dad were doing shifts, we were in there any visiting time, we were in there just taking it in turns just to be with her, and they couldn't be more incredible. And even afterwards, they were just so respectful. So I want to do some charity work for them, because it's just obviously been a light in the darkest of times for us, was that at the end there. So yeah, definitely going to carry on her love for that. And my mum loved travel as well, so we're going to do, I think, you know what it's like, those first milestones, like those first big things like Christmas, where my dad says it best, she just made everything so special. All the traditions, all the little things that she did, just handmade things, every birthday, every Christmas was just so incredible because of Mum. So I think for us as a family to have to go through a Christmas here in the UK would just be a little bit too painful this year. So I think we're planning to try and get some travel in, do it together, do it as a family just to honour her, because she absolutely loved that too. I mean, I think that spread to her children because, as I said, my sister lives in Perth, my brother's in Dubai. I spent 10 years with my husband on super yachts traveling the world in Alaska and California. So we all absolutely love traveling the world, but so we definitely been installed by Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
Will it be a trip to Perth, do you think, for Christmas?
Think so. That'll be on the cards. Yeah, my sister's pregnant at the moment, so we'll have to get over there at some point. No, I love Australia.
It's a beautiful, like Perth is a really beautiful place, but just be cautious in the summer, as you know. It's
be a very different Christmas for you and the family.
Yeah, I did it in my backpacker days, but I think I'll be doing it a little bit differently this time.
Yeah. You'll have
a couple of food.
Yeah, a little less freedom maybe as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Briony, we touched on earlier in the chat around the anticipatory grief side of things, and just to circle back on that, because I think we spoke about your experience and the advice you would give to people after after losing a loved one, as you have with Lisa, with your mum. What about the leading up? As you mentioned, you were in this world or this mindset where you were going to get through it and fight through it, and then you got to the stage where, unfortunately, but also fortunately, with the lovely people there in the hospice, your mum was placed into there. What advice would you give to people around that experience if someone's in a similar situation to yourself there?
I think it's a really tricky one, to be honest, because if anyone's anything like me, I took this from my mum as well. I'm a really glass half full kind of person, really positive, really, I wouldn't say in denial, but it was very much, we're going to get through this, Mum. We're going to be okay. And even in the early diagnosis of being so poor, it was just that this isn't going to be our reality. So the anticipatory grief side of for me was really, really tricky, because I feel now with hindsight, I probably should have done things a little differently. I probably should have had the harder conversations with her maybe, but I think that's a lesson learned, and I'd never think that you're gonna feel like you've had enough conversations. I think it is something that I'm just gonna have to live with, that I didn't, whereas we did. It was just, you wish you always had more. But I would just go and spend the time as much as I think, if it is cancer, if it is going through chemo, they may not feel up to it all the time, but it doesn't have to be anything huge. Just go and sit with them, go and read with them, go and watch TV with them, spend time in the garden, get outside. And I feel like for me as well, it was getting to know her as a different version of your mum, because you're having these conversations and she's letting you into a world that you probably wouldn't have known beforehand. It was her when she was younger, it was her relationships with her family, and you're talking about things that you probably wouldn't have even known or wouldn't even navigated before, which is really lovely. It's a real honor to obviously get to know a different side to her, because she was obviously very much knew that she was coming to the end of her life. So it was things that she wanted to talk about and share, all her life stories from before kids and before we came along, which is, it was a lovely thing to be able to share. But it's really hard at the same time, because you know deep down why they are opening up and why they are sharing everything with you. But it's a lovely thing it's a strange one, isn't it? It's that duality of, it's your mum, you know her so well, but you're actually getting to know a whole new version of her because she's wanting to open up more and share all of that with you. So yeah, I would just say, look after yourself, because it is a tough journey. You're becoming more of a carer and a dependent, because you're going from this role of having your person who's looked after you your whole life to then doing a complete role reversal to be looking after them. And it's a really tough thing physically, mentally, everything. So in the in-between times, try and look after yourself as much as you can. I know it sounds silly, especially when you've got kids and life and jobs and everything else going on, but it's just taking that moment, just get out for a dog walk on your own, go and get some headspace, speak to a friend, like open up to people. You don't have to carry this all by yourself. Find that little support system, that those important people in your life that are going to carry you through, and lean on them. Like that's that need to be there in the tough times for you. And this is going to be one of the ones where you definitely need them.
Yeah. Really, really good advice, Briony, as well. I know you mentioned it is a tough one. I think it's difficult when it sounds like your mum was that. You mentioned, I think, that type of person as well, the optimist and glass half full type of person. So I don't think it's unfair for you to be that way as well, and inclined through this whole situation. So, but really good advice to for people to have those conversations and have that bit of reality in there as well. So I think that's pertinent advice.
The thing me and Dad struggle with the most is that we say that the one person who would know how to get us through this is Mum, is the one person that we've lost, because she would have the answers to everything. And here we are scrambling, trying to piece it all together.
Yeah. Are there moments now, it sounds like, you and your dad talk about it quite a bit, but in terms of what would Mum do in this situation, or how she would help? You mentioned before with the school questions. Is that something that you reflect on often now that she's passed?
Yeah, it is. It's a tricky one. I feel like she just had the right answer to everything. So to not have her there as that person to go to is, you're always on default mode. You think you just go to pick up the phone or just send her a WhatsApp or anything like that. And that's not there anymore. And I feel like she was that person. It's the matriarch in the family that was the one everyone would go to. So I feel like we're all finding that quite tricky. She actually wrote a poem years ago, before she was even diagnosed, about death, which we found in her bits and pieces afterwards, and we had to just double check that it wasn't actually someone else's poem that she'd just written down, because she loved it. We had to find out, we were trying to find out whether she'd written it herself, and it was just so profound. She just said that she would always be with us, like in death. It wasn't necessarily her, but to look for that person in everything in life. So the signs, all the little signs that we have that come into our world. I feel like sometimes us as humans, we just want to bat it away and not feel like that is a sign from them or a sign from the universe or something else. And it was just about that, to see her in everything, in the everyday, in the wind, in the flowers, in the butterflies or the birds, in nature. She absolutely loved anything to do with nature. So it was a really special thing to find, actually, because it was rang so true to how Mum would think. And that's what me and Dad are trying to channel now, just to see those signs and actually find comfort in that, find comfort in those little things that come into your every day, because I do feel like energy's everything.
Was that?
And we've got on to those things now, haven't we?
Yeah, look, you mentioned that was well before her diagnosis and finding the cancer. It's quite amazing that she wrote a poem discussing those things, or talking about those things. Was that in relation to her losing someone, or was it just?
It could have been. I wish we'd found it and asked before and been able to ask her. It could have been she lost both her parents, her stepdad and her two brothers before her. So she was the last in her immediate family to be alive. But she just had a really special energy about her. She was very spiritual. I don't know, we'd call it woo-woo and all of that. And I'm trying to channel that as much as possible, because I do feel like it is so important. And that's how I feel close to her, is to follow that advice and find her in those little things. And I feel like we're so conditioned now, aren't we, just to kind of see the black and white and not believe anything else and not see anything else. And she wouldn't have wanted that. She would want us to know that she was still here and have those signs. So yeah, definitely taking advice from that, which was a special thing to find. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think your mum would want to share it to the world, shall we say? I'd be interested to read it at some point.
Yeah, I'll absolutely send it over to you, of course. Yeah, I know I've got a copy. She wouldn't mind.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Yeah. Poems are, I think, in the grief space as well. Poems are they just really hit. They really hit and they stick with you. So that's something I've found as well. Since Dad passed away, Dad was a big lover of poems, and some poems I read back now, and they just ring true. There's just nothing like it. So that's really special that you have your mum's custom made poem, and it's such a sensitive topic as well, which is really special.
Yeah, it was nice for to see that she wasn't afraid of it. I guess it was that accepting. Obviously it was before her reality of it hitting her personally, but yeah.
Very much rings true to the situation though. Briony, final question for you for the main part of the podcast. And it has been such a short period of time, and you mentioned with the advice to give to other people to take care of themselves and take care of yourself in answering this, because it is often our most difficult question to end the podcast. But the question we like to ask our guests is, if Mum was in front of you today in person, what would you say to her?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I would just, I guess, say a huge thank you for, shaping us as sorry. Shaping us as adults. She's had 3 children. She worked so hard her whole life. And we're just so grateful to have had a mum as incredible as she was. So it would just be a huge thank you. All the lessons that I guess I don't even realise that I've learnt and that I carry with me every day. People say that we're so very similar. So I take that as such a comfort that, even if I was half the person that she was, I would be so grateful. And so, yeah, I'm just happy for the joy and that she brought into life. I just wish it was for a lot longer.
Thank you, Briony. Thank you for being vulnerable and answering that tough question. And thank you for giving up your time today and joining us on the podcast. It was lovely hearing about your mum and the wonderful person that she was, and the spiritual person that she was, and also the lessons that you've learned, and the advice you've been able to share with any of our listeners today. I think it's been a wonderful conversation and really important too. And you've given some wonderful pieces of advice as well. So thank you very much for joining us and sharing your grief story to this point. As you said, it's ongoing. It'll be a long one, and often at times tough one. But on behalf of us, you're doing really, really well, and thank you again for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you both. It's an honor. Yeah, it's an honor to be able to speak about her. I'm so grateful. I think it's so important to talk and to talk about them. It's something that you never want to let die.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Thank you, Briony. So, Luke, that was Briony from Cornwall in the UK.
Thank you, Briony. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, the whole family. It sounds like a lovely little family. Yeah. It was a great story. I just love the 50 years or 49 years.
Yeah, almost 50.
Bittersweet, as Briony said, but yeah, still lovely to hear.
Yeah, and she's done. Briony did say at the very, very beginning, before we pressed record, that this was her first podcast talking about her mum, and she did amazing. She did really, really well. Obviously, there were moments there that she found tough, but that's I think that's just the grief journey in general. There'll be moments where you'll feel that, as Briony mentioned throughout the chat, that the moments that you'll just break down, whether it be a song or a moment. So well done, Briony. We really appreciated you coming on. It was an honour hearing about your mum and the relationship you had and the lessons you've learned afterwards. So you're doing amazing. Keep talking about her, and keep her memory alive and being there for your dad. I think you're doing really well.
Summed it up perfectly, mate.
Yeah,
you can summarize the rest of the sign offs if you like.
I will say we had a great chat with Briony in the Patreon. So we talked in there a little bit more about the spirit side, and I know she was very much connected to, or her mum was very much connected to spirit and did Reiki and a lot of things. So and we also talked about, you'll have to jump on our exclusive Patreon if you want to hear this, how they met. It was at I will let a sneaky one in here, that it was at a Halloween party. Jump on our Patreon there if you want to hear that. 49 years ago marriage, and they were together for a few years before that. So jump on our Patreon, patreon.com/remembering them podcast, or download the app is where you'll find us. There's a lot of free content on there, but also the exclusive chats that we have with all of our podcast guests is on there as well. About $5 a month US, $9 a month Australian, UK somewhere in between there, I'm sure. But jump on Patreon to also just support the podcast if you like what we're doing. Speaking of liking what we're doing, if you did enjoy this episode talking to Briony about her mum, please share this podcast with anyone else that you think might like to hear about the conversation and get some value out of it, and any of our past conversations as well. We do encourage people to continue talking about their loved ones and keeping their stories and memories alive, and we selfishly like hearing about it. So please share the podcast and give us a rating and review, 5 stars ideally, on your preferred podcast platform, so we show up on anyone that is looking for a grief related conversation. Reminder to follow us on all of our socials, Remembering Them podcast on most of things, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok and YouTube. And just a quick reminder that we do have the partnerships with BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/remembering them, 10% off your first month subscription if you're needing to speak to a credentialed therapist. And we also have the My Legacy Message service, mylegacymessage.com.au, to leave a video message to your loved ones, often a surprise after you pass. That's everything, Luke. Very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Ryan, we hope you're enjoying National
Giveaway Day,
giving away all of your stuff. Hopefully next time you can give away a bit of your time and join us on our next great conversation.
I'll tell you what, Ryan should go to the UK and he should run for the Prime Minister role, because I think they're in dire needs. They need one.
Yes.
One.
Yeah.
Very topical. But I'll leave you with that, mate.
Yes.
Take that.
Thank you, Luke. Thanks for joining us. I think that might be our first person from Cornwall. So, well done, Briony. You did amazing. Thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Luke. Till next time. Love you. Bye.
Love you, Ryan.
The Remembering Them podcast is created for entertainment purposes. Mark, Ryan, and Luke are not licensed mental health professionals. If you would like to discuss your mental well-being, several resources are available in Australia. Information about these services are available in the podcast notes. Please take the time to contact your loved one today and tell them how much you appreciate and love them.